Hi, I'm Karen, and you're watching Catching Up with Karen Mom Talk. Today, I'm going to be talking about breastfeeding newborns. How is that different from breastfeeding at any other age? You will reach different complications at each stage of, baby's life. So, I want to talk about what's normal. Is it normal for newborns to want to nurse all the time? Yes, it is normal. In your first weeks of breastfeeding, you're going to probably breastfeed your baby anywhere from 8 to 12 times within a 24-hour period. They're going to be eating every 2 to 3 hours, like clockwork. There is no set time for feedings, so although it is like clockwork, it's not going to be like, oh, 4 o'clock on the dot, baby needs to be fed. Your baby will tell you when they're hungry. If you are on a strict time frame because your baby's lost a lot of weight, then that's a different situation. Your baby will also let you know when they are done eating. There are cues, same as there are cues for when your baby is hungry. There are also cues for when your baby is full. When your baby is hungry, they'll be tense, closed fists. When they're no longer hungry, their hands will be open. They'll be relaxed. They'll probably fall asleep and they'll unlatch. Their eating patterns will change from day to day. This is depending on how fast they're growing, how much weight they're gaining, how hungry they are, whether they're in pain or not. So you want to take it day by day by day. Best tip I can offer is following your baby's lead. Now let's talk about cluster feeding. If your baby is cluster feeding, it probably feels like they are always attached to the breast. Cluster feeding are short feeds close together over a few hours, and then it's followed by kind of like a long nap. So during your cluster feeding period, your baby may have short rests and will probably wake up anywhere from every 15 to 60 minutes. Around this time, baby's probably going to be fussy. They're, probably going to pull off, pull on onto the breast. This doesn't mean that your baby isn't getting enough milk. It could just be your baby's way of filling up for a longer nap. It's also a way to help you increase your milk supply so that you can keep up with your baby's needs. What that means, supply so you can keep up with your baby's needs, that means that your baby is probably hitting a growth spurt. So cluster feeding doesn't only happen once. It happens at every growth spurt. Now, how do growth spurts affect feedings? Your baby's gonna go through so many growth spurts in the first year. It's gonna cause your baby to want to nurse longer and more often. Growth spurts can happen at 2 to 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months. It's important to keep in mind that every baby is different. So your baby might not experience their growth spurt at these exact times. They will probably have their own time frame. This is just like a general view of what the time frame is going to look like. For example, my son started cluster feeding the day after he was born, so rather than it being 2 to 3 weeks. Growth spurts usually only last a few days, so if you are flustered, you are frustrated, you're over it, you want to give up breastfeeding, just remember, this is not forever. They're not going to be attached to the breast 24/7 for the rest of their lives. It's only for the next few days, and it will end eventually, and they'll go back onto a more normal schedule. How do moms know if they're producing enough? I had mentioned in the previous video how I had felt inadequate. I had felt like maybe I was not enough. I didn't know what signs to look for, and they went ahead and told me. Is your baby gaining enough weight? Do they have enough wet and dirty diapers? Are they settled after they've finished eating? So your baby should be gaining anywhere from 5.5 to 8.5 ounces a week. They should be having anywhere from 6 to 8 wet or dirty diapers a day. So those are the signs to look for. If your baby is only having 2 or 3 wet diapers, then you should talk to your doctor. At your visits, your doctors will weigh them, and they'll go ahead and tell you whether you should be worried about weight gain. If you are worried about milk production, when in doubt, schedule an appointment with a lactation consultant. Scheduling an appointment with the lactation consultant will lead to them either telling you, hey, you're on a great track, you're doing an amazing job, keep it up, or they'll tell you whether you should be worried. Lactation consultants can determine whether your baby has a lip or a tongue tie. They can tell you what the problem is, whether they have a good or a bad latch, a shallow or a deep latch. They'll be able to tell you if there is any issue and whether you should worry. They're also able to weigh your baby before and after feeding to see exactly how much they're eating. Is breastfeeding supposed to hurt? No, you're not supposed to be experiencing any sharp pain. The first couple of weeks, you will be achy just because your nipples are being stimulated constantly and it's not something you're used to. You're gonna be feeding around every 2 to 3 hours for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. You know, your nipples are like, what is going on? This is something that we have to get used to. So you will experience some discomfort. It'll probably hurt or feel sore. That is different from pain during breastfeeding. Pain during breastfeeding probably means that there is a latching issue. So what is a good latch supposed to look like? I keep on talking about latching. So a good latch is supposed to look like their chin touching your breast and they can breathe through their nose. So they're supposed to be kind of like in a looking up position. Their mouth should be wide open, kind of like fish lips, and they should have a mouthful of your areolae. So that's not just your nipple, it's your nipple and the brown part around it. The latch should not hurt. It should not feel like you have teeth digging in. It should not pinch. It should not be painful. It's important to get your newborn's latch checked by a lactation consultant because they can help determine whether there needs to be a lip or tongue tie correction, and they're going to be able to give you like in-person guidance to what your latch should, and they'll be able to give you in-person guidance. Lip and tongue tie does affect anywhere from 4 to 11% of newborns. So if you are having latching issues, if your baby is gaining a lot of weight really fast, and if it does hurt when they latch on, schedule an appointment with your lactation consultant. They're gonna check your baby for lip and tongue tie. If it is not that, they will help you get a proper latch, and they will be able to weigh your baby, see how much you're producing. Now, I want to go ahead and dive in. I want to give you tips on how to get a good latch. You want to check your latching position. Before starting, you want to make sure your baby's head, neck, and spine are angled and not twisted. So no like awkward angles. You want to make sure it's all aligned. The chin should be up, not droop down towards your chest. That way their airway is open. You want to encourage your baby to open their mouth wide. How do you do that? You want to hold your baby close and you want your nipple to level with their nose. So if your baby is just looking straight, your nipple should be right here. What this is going to do, it's going to make them look up and open their mouth. You can guide them by touching your nipple gently against their upper lip and encourage them to open their mouth wide. When you're ready to pop that sucker in, you want to aim your nipple towards the top of their mouth, the roof, up here. They should be taking a large portion of the areolae into your mouth. Although it is okay to see part of it inside their mouth and not all of it, this is because all babies are different sizes. All areolae, all breast, all of this, it varies from person to person. Some moms find it easy to shape their breast gently. You don't want to be aggressive with yourself. kind of like a hamburger. So you're gonna like flatten it and then just pop it in. You want to keep your baby close during a latch on. You want to look and listen. So the latch should not feel uncomfortable. It should not feel painful. It will feel more like a tugging sensation, which is why you do end up getting sore, because they are tugging at them. You're gonna see baby's jaw moving when they're eating, and if you listen closely, you're gonna hear them sucking and swallowing as they continue to feed. So when a baby's eating, they're gonna start quick to stimulate a letdown, and then they're gonna keep just with slow, long suction motions to just really drink and take out as much milk as possible. And it's okay to unlatch and start over. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect the first go around. You can unlatch and start over. If your baby's latch is shallow or painful and they start chomping on your nipple or brushing the end of it with their tongue, remove them from the breast and try again. The way you do this, super simple, is you want to slowly ease your finger into the corner of their mouth, and that's gonna break the suction. That way you don't like pull your nipple out of their mouth and like hurt yourself. And to break the suction by putting your finger at the corner of their mouth, sticking the finger in, and then you're gonna scoop your nipple out. Boop. It's okay not to be a natural at breastfeeding. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to schedule an appointment with a lactation consultant to see how they can help. I recommend that every single mom, every single breastfeeding or pumping mom has a great support system, because it will take a toll on you. It will be hard. There's going to be days that you're going to be frustrated and you're going to want to give up. Don't give up on a bad day. Have someone there to encourage you, even if it's someone just online, an online support group, even if it's just your partner that's telling you, hey, you're doing a good job, or your best friend that's like, hey girl, you got this. Have someone there to support you, because taking it all on by yourself can get heavy sometimes. So ask for help. I hope you enjoyed today's episode about breastfeeding with newborns, and I'll see you guys next week.